I was walking around the lake with some earphones in my ears, listening to music and jogging. So he was like, "Dad, Odinara Saramiye, it means dad, which country is this person?" Instead of the dad trying to explain to the kid, he just pulled him away. So I was like, no, this is wrong. And it's so funny, right? So I stopped them. I was like,
welcome to the Melanated Files. In this series, we highlight and share the stories of black people from across the globe. Remember to subscribe to this channel for weekly videos and also follow us on social media for regular updates. Let's get into the interview.
my name is Richard Zinleri and I am from Ghana. Actually, I never planned coming to South Korea. In the last 3 years, I planned to just study abroad. It could be Europe, it could be the USA. But then it just happened that one friend who already came to South Korea recommended to me that there are nice master's program here that I could give it a try. And I applied and I got selected. So I came over and I came to study, yeah. I didn't really plan for it, but then it happened and I'm loving it so far. It was a scholarship actually, yeah, from the Korean government, yeah. It was a 1 year, 6 month scholarship program. The scholarship is called Gyeongsan-Bukdo Scholarship Program, Gyeongsan-Bukdo. And the name of the university was Yeongnam University. Yeah, it is in Daegu City. Yeah, Daegu City is another section of South Korea. It was a master's program in International Development Cooperation. They have public administration, they have CIML development and regional development, but then I chose International Development Cooperation because I have the background for it at the undergraduate level. Actually, the program was quite detailed and well packed, and I had to spend like 1 year, 6 months to finish it up. So everything was kind of in a hasty way, but then positive one. Yeah, so it was well packed for 18 months and it was good. Yeah, I came out good. And then I had my thesis in international development and I was focusing on underdeveloped countries and all those stuff. I have been in South Korea for the past 3 years and 8 months. Yeah, so far, almost 4 years now. Currently, I work we deal in used cars, used products from developing countries, and I happen to be the foreign relations officer. I handle anything to do with foreign business because of the English background that I hold. Well, being the only African among Korean staff, we have about 29 staff, all Koreans, and the only black guy there. So communication is kind of difficult, all right? Though I could speak the language, but not too fluent. So I kind of tend to struggle to communicate with them. But I'm doing my work very well. So far, I've brought in good business to the company. Things are moving on well, and my CEO is so happy to have me there. Well, I actually don't intend going back anytime soon. I would love to stay in South Korea and then to be able to speak the language very well. Then right after grabbing the language perfectly, I'm gonna read law. I want to be an international lawyer to help the foreign community in South Korea. So far in South Korea, there aren't much issues, but just the usual, yeah, just the usual, you know, little discriminations all around, like in the subways, trying to get a taxi. Sometimes you stop the taxi and they never bother to pick you up, but you see another Korean stopping the taxi and then they pick the person up. I don't know why it happens. If you speak the language, there are lots of opportunities that would come your way. Korean society would really open up to you and they would embrace you. Well, the most thing I like about South Korea is their history, okay? Because where I am from, Ghana, for instance, in the 1950s, we were at the same level of development with South Korea. But then now we are in 2019. If I compare my country, Ghana, to South Korea, there is a huge gap. And what really made it so, the fact is these guys are so hardworking. One thing I like about them, because they used to be a very poor country. They used to be a donor receiver country. When I say donor receiver country, it's kind of a country that used to rely on donor aid, like getting grants from developed countries to help themselves. But then right after 50 years, these guys are well enough, sufficient, well developed, and everybody likes to even visit the country. So to move from like a nobody to become somebody and helping others is such a great feat in South Korea that it is even worthy of emulation by all developing countries. They had this concept called Semol Undong. Semol Undong was kind of a village movement from the 1950s that these guys had to kind of sit up, come together, work together, and make sure that the small they have, they make it work. They take so much pride in their local products and they don't want to consume outside products. Everything made in Korea, they just love it, they go for it. And now look at South Korea, it's so great. So, I mean, it's a good thing about this country. From nobody to somebody. It's a great thing to do within 50 years. Okay, one thing Korea does very well is their time factor. If a South Korean books an appointment with you and he says like, let's meet 6 p.m. Sometimes around like 10 minutes before the 6 p.m. time, they'll be right there waiting for you. 5:50, they are there. Very prompt, always on time, very consistent. One thing I love about South Korea, they have this word they say, pali pali. Pali pali is like try to do everything in a fast way. They think that most foreigners are very slow in doing things, but these guys are super smart, fast in all they do. It's a good thing that we should all learn from them. The least thing I like about South Korea is I think foreigners don't really blend in with South Koreans. It's like if you have a next door neighbor, okay, where I live for example, they never say hi or hello to you. I don't know if they're shy or whatever it is. You always try to greet your next neighbor, they don't respond to you. And whenever they see you coming upstairs to your room and you happen to coincidentally meet them or on the stairs, they try to hurry, you know. Faster, they open the door and then they check in. So it's like, these people, what is wrong with them? Always running away from people. I've been living in this apartment for over a year. Why can't you just say hi or hello? Because mind you, Ranzo, if he or she gets to break down, I am the next point of contact, right, to help him. So if you don't really, you know, say hi to me or smile to me, how can I really help you if there is an unfortunate incident? So it's the least thing I really dislike about this country. Yeah, the social capital is a huge problem. Though they are well developed, but then social capital is really lacking. Their way of socializing and networking with foreigners is really down. But I hope someday they would get over it. Favorite Korean food, I would say kimchi jjigae. Kimchi jjigae is made from Chinese cabbage with some spicy sauce and it's so salty. And the funny thing about kimchi jjigae is that when I came to South Korea in the first year, I never liked it. Even I didn't like the way it smelled, the flavor. I really disliked it. But then after 1 year, I had no choice. That's the only food I can eat. There is no Ghanaian food here. So I had to really, you know, be familiar with their food. And now it became my favorite food in South Korea. Yeah. The best life advice I have received in South Korea. Overall, okay. Well, it is about being positive, believing in yourself, and then regardless of the obstacles and challenges in life, you'd always have to rise above the struggle and the challenges. So persistency, tenacity, and being more hardworking. Yeah, these are the few things I have learned in life. Yeah, and it's really paying off. When I was a little boy, okay, I remember playing with my friends on the floor, on the ground. You know, those days we used to play a lot. When it rains, we kind of like go half naked, run in the rain, you know, play around. But these days, like, most people are always focused on like smartphones, devices, video games. But in my time, in the 1986, 89, thereabout, we used to play a lot in the open space and it was so natural and nice. Yeah, I really miss those days actually. Well, being a black person in South Korea is like you are most looked at in every place you go. For example, where I work, every other Korean businessman who walks into the office, they just focus on me. Wherever I go for dinner or lunch, everybody focuses on me. So it's like you kind of look special to them. Why? Because you have a different skin color, you have a different look from them. Even some of my friends, and sometimes I do volunteer in churches and other places just to teach English as a language. And most of the kids try to touch my hair, feel my skin. It's like, because I'm a black person, so they're so curious, like, who is this? Like, how is he made of? Can I touch his skin and all that? So being a black person, you're always in the spotlight. Everyone looking up to you. So if you're the shy person, you would always have lots of stress. But then, hey, I'm not that type, so I flow with it. Well, the general attitude, I would say it has to do with misconceptions and stereotypical generalization. They have generalized all black people to be kind of aggressive folks, and they watch movies and they see blacks always playing the villain role, you know, kind of robbing banks, being a gangster, and all those things. So it kind of like leaves something on their mind, an impression which is quite negative. So every black person they see, they expect you to act like a gangster. They expect you to be that kind of a high way of walking. You know, blacks have a unique way of walking and doing things, so they always expect that from you. So it's like there is that misconception out there. And even when you do something so well, they're like, what? You were able to do this? You are so smart. But then we're all the same, right? You could be even smarter than a Korean, but then because you're black, they always get surprised by the things you do and how different you are. They always have that mindset of the movies they watch. So it all has to do with the media, okay? The things they watch, the things they hear, the things they see, that is what they believe we are made of. And always they try to treat us based on those things. And it's quite unfortunate. But we as a black community, we have to also do the counter reaction to that. Do we own media houses? The black elites who work in higher places all over the world, what are they doing? Imagine you are an international lawyer. Why don't you take up some of these issues? For example, you have United Nations, you have ECOWAS and all the other bodies. They show lots of depriving pictures and photos about the continent and the black race. It's so demeaning. Nobody talks about it. Nobody sues them for showing those stuff. We have good things. Why nobody is showing it up? You could take all this thing up through a legal action, compel them to change it, okay, by force, okay? Nobody is taking it up. So the black elites, the well-to-do blacks all over the world, we should wake up, right? We should try to like do something about this. Own a media empire like BEJ is doing. Show them the right things, show them the positive things, okay? Because there's too much negative media out there. And based on that, Koreans always perceive us that way. Yeah, there is actually. I have a Korean girlfriend. And when I was coming to South Korea, I was brokenhearted because my girlfriend, whom I have lived for like 7 years, she kind of ditched me. She left me. So coming to South Korea, I was a single guy and I happened to find a new lady here. So whenever I walk with her on the streets, people keep staring at us. And sometimes, you know, Koreans have a way of like hugging each other, kissing in public, fondling and all that. And you know, I'm very reserved. I don't like those stuff. So my girlfriend always tries to like kind of push me to do same. But I say to her, hey, we should do this in private. There are old guys around. She would say, no, shiro. Shiro means no, I don't like that. You have to do it. It's one of the like weirdest, funniest things I have experienced here in South Korea, but I always resisted. And one point in time, there was this small young guy who was walking with the dad. And then he saw me walking around. There's this lake around my house. I was walking around the lake with some earphones in my ears, listening to music and jogging. So he was like, Dad, 어디나라 사람이에요? It means, Dad, which country is this person? Instead of the dad trying to explain to the kid, he just pulled him away. So I was like, no, this is wrong. And it's so funny, right? So I stopped them. I was like, 잠깐만요, please wait. And I told the kid, 저는 외국 사람이에요. I'm a foreigner, okay? That's why I look different from you. And now the dad was smiling. The kid was okay. So I was like, why do you pull the kid away? You should just explain. So such a kid will grow up and would always be thinking, my dad used to push me away from these guys who look like that, okay? But then imagine he corrected the kid, it would have been nice, which I did, and the kid was okay, he was smiling. So it was funny, same time, yeah. That's right, because if I didn't know the language, I wouldn't have known what the kid was saying to the dad. But I heard, Appa, Urinara Sarami, yo, like dad, where is this person from? Because I could speak the language, because I could hear the language, I was able to correct the kid, and it was all fine, all good. So hey, the language is key, really. Well, when I came to South Korea for a scholarship program, we had these Korean classes we have every day from 6 p.m. to 8, 2 hours a day, and we learn from the textbook, Hanguk Sogan. So we learn from the textbook how to speak, to pronounce the vowel letters, the consonant letters, and we have situational speaking, right? Like you walk into a restaurant, how you should speak and all that. So we learned it in the classroom, we practiced and all that. So I became okay, but then I'm not too good. I still have a long way to go. First of all, I would say you should always visit YouTube. There are lots of channels out there trying to introduce Korean speaking to foreigners or whoever might be interested. So go on YouTube, look out for basic Korean communication. Try to learn the pronunciations, how they greet and how they say those things. It's way easier than using the textbook. Textbook makes it more difficult, but then try to use YouTube and try to follow videos and you'll be good. Keep practicing, okay? Even before you come over to South Korea, learn through the YouTube, learn through the videos, and you'll be good to go. Well, actually, Ranzo, it's way expensive to go to visit the barbering shop, and also a Korean barber may not really be okay with an African person like me. They wouldn't know how to shave me or crop me. So I always barber myself. You see this? I did it myself. I just grab the machine and then I focus on the mirror. Then I just let it go like that. I always do it myself. I never pay a dime for it. I always do it myself. I could teach you, okay? It's so easy to do that. And every 2 weeks, I do barber every 2 weeks because I love short hair. The first time I tried it, it was so bad. Okay, like this part was off, the other part was also off, but then I kept trying and then I became perfect, yeah. The biggest difference has to do with what they call a village and what they call a city. Back in my country, when I say this is a village, I mean it's a typical village in the real sense of the definition, okay? Like a mud house and like a wooden structure, and there are no social facilities and all that. That's a village. But in South Korea, they tell me like this place is a village, and I'm like, you sure this is a village? So it's like, there's a huge difference between what they call a village in this country and what I call a village back in my country. Maybe because of the index of development, the degree and level of their development makes it that way. So that is one of the biggest difference. And then also the character and mindset of a Ghanaian and that of a Korean is way different. Okay, these guys are very focused and kind of like very fast in all they do. If a Korean is like supposed to do something, like do a job, they do it with some kind of good pace, okay, very faster. So within a short time, they get it done. But in my country, I would say a lot of us are a bit slow. So that is one of the difference, and I have learned from these guys, okay? We need to kind of buckle up, be a bit more faster in all we do. Yeah, those are some of the differences so far, yeah. Well, this is a very big question, seriously. I would like to change who is from which race, who is from which country, because seriously speaking, we are in the 21st century, 2019, and we're getting to a point where everybody, any person could be a global citizen. There's nothing like being an African, being an Asian, being American. It's quite sickening because it comes with some kind of strings attached and some kind of impressions and negative connotations of where you're from. Everybody asks you, where you from? Why does it matter, right? I really want to change that. We should be global citizens. And trust me, there will be a point in time where natives and countries would be shifting away from like those labels, then we kind of take a humanistic approach to where you're from, being a global citizen, doing right, doing what is good. That is what matters, right? So that is what I want to change, like those labels and tags. That is one thing I would want to change. And the world would be way better than it is now if we're able to change that aspect. Actually, I have a huge list, but then there is one guy I would love to call a mentor, and also I would love to be like him someday. Former President of the United States of America, his name, you guys know, Barack Obama. I would really love to meet Barack someday because I like everything about that guy. He was an excellent leader, but then even though he couldn't do much for blacks in general, because being the first black American president, I was expecting a lot from him because the blacks are having tough times in the USA. So having one of your own as a leader could have made a huge change, but then he actually performed under my expectation in that regard. But nonetheless, he's the person I would really love to meet someday. I want to talk to Barack one-on-one someday and have a handshake from him. So who knows, he might be watching BEJ, Barack Obama, Richard from Ghana. I want to meet you someday, okay? I'm a huge fan of you. I love everything about you, okay? Yeah.
Nice. What's your proudest accomplishment?
Well, being able to come out of a family of 4, being the only guy to rise up to a university, being the only person in the family to become a public servant back in my country, and being the only guy from a very poor background to kind of be able to travel around the world, been to South Korea, been to Japan, been to China, and I've had a few, interviews on BEJ, for instance. In China, I appeared on Chinese TV in the news because I had a nice program and all that. So those things are my proudest accomplishment so far. Traveling around, at least doing well and talking to people who are of a certain reputation. It gives me some kind of hope that from nowhere, from bicycle to riding an airplane, owning a car, driving and all that, these are material things, but then it gives some sense of pride, right? So I hope that makes it my proudest accomplishment so far in life. Yeah, I was working with the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, and I was an assistant human resource manager. Yeah, sure, back in Ghana, right? But then I had to resign because it was very normal in the office. Like every day you keep doing the same thing, just one file. You just sign a memo and you toss it up to the next officer. That's it. Every day, same thing. So I'm like, well, I'm a young guy. I need to go to a very high level. And I want to have that kind of international exposure and to do great things than just sit in an office and they're doing the same thing all over again. Too boring. Those things are meant for old guys. I have too much energy to sit in the office, so I resigned and now I'm out here in the world hoping to have huge impacts on international level. Yeah, step by step, I hope to reach there someday. Biggest lesson I have learned in life, hey guys, one has to always be very humble regardless of what you have achieved, because sometimes people don't know you by where you're from, what you do, what's your reputation. But then the more you kind of open up to them, you tell them who you are, then they're like, oh wow, really? So I think it pays to be very humble, because in that way there is no pressure on you. Nobody expects much from you until you're expected to do something, then they know your worth. So stay low, be humble, be nice, and be open to everybody around you. Okay, one message I would love to share is that let's try to take away, again, that label and tag of where you're from, which race are you, and who you are, and all that. We should take it away, all right? We should just meet people for who they are. We should kind of be with people for where they're from, and like just the human factor, okay? Yeah, the labels and where you're from, which race you are, we should take it out, because it's creating a lot of mess out there and it's not good. So I want the whole world to change that place, okay? I have been a Daegu boy. I lived in Daegu city for the past 3 years now, though I lived in Seoul for just 5 months. But the best place I like so far is Busan, okay? Busan, Busan City, right? You guys should visit that place. It's kind of like a coastal town. Yeah, the seaside, very serene, breezy, cool and calm. And it's always good to be there. And they have this traditional market, and you could walk on the street, buy some food, snacks, eat, and have some good real fun. So Busan is my favorite city so far in South Korea. Oh my God, that's a very good question, guys. I actually met a Korean girl when I was a student in Yeongnam University. I kind of met her, and then she was also attracted to me. We became friends, and then for the past 2 years we've been dating each other. There are no problems. The only thing is that dating a Korean girl is like there's a little stress attached to it because they demand a lot of attention. Every day, Richard, where you are, what are you doing, may I know? In general, it's okay to date a Korean lady. Yeah, actually, people do stare a lot. Like, who is this black guy walking with a Korean lady? Most especially the young ones. It's like, I'm a young Korean, maybe the person is single, but he doesn't have a Korean girlfriend. So why are you a foreigner, okay? Black guy, for instance, having a Korean girlfriend. They wonder like, how did you do it? What did you say to this girl? And all that. So they look very well, though they don't say it, but then you could feel it. There is that pressure. Even there are times some people would look with you with an annoying eye, like they're so pissed off. They look angry in the eye, simply because you're with a Korean girl. They don't like it that way. But I think every society fears change. That is the problem. They are used to seeing a Korean guy and a Korean girl. So when they see a black guy with a Korean girl, they feel like, damn, what's happening? What's going on? But it takes time. Yeah, so there's lots of attraction to us simply because we look different and we're couples. So it makes people look at us more. But then it's okay because we do same in my country, okay? Whenever there is a white person in Ghana, people look. And if there is a black Ghanaian, like with a foreigner girlfriend, every Ghanaian looks, keeps staring. So it's something we all need to change. Yeah, too much attention. In my personal experience, when I met my girlfriend, after 100 days, she introduced me to the mom, the sister, and the brother. And the dad is the only problem. The mom was very welcoming, brother and sister welcoming. Even the brother of my girlfriend lived in my apartment for 2 months with me. And it was kind of cool. Her mom likes me, her mom picks me up and all that. But the dad is the problem. It's like, he didn't really hate the fact that I'm a foreigner, but then he was kind of wondering, could you take care of my daughter? What do you do? What's your income level? Those kind of things that a typical father would always ask. So overall, it was quite receptive, except for the fact that the dad wanted to be very sure that I could really be a good guy for the daughter. But nothing of like a hate or like rejection. Yeah, and also it depends on the kind of black person you kind of portray yourself to be. Because if you're a black person and you are okay and you're well-mannered, well-cultured, surely a Korean family would welcome you into their fold. If you have their daughter as a girlfriend, or you think of marrying their daughter, it depends on how you portray yourself. They would accept you. So overall, it was quite receptive, except the father's doubt. But finally, he's okay because I proved him right, and now things are cool. Yeah.
You mean you proved him wrong?
I proved him wrong. That's right. You know, because I was able to do a few things for my girlfriend, like just like everybody would do, like get some good stuff on their birthdays and all that. Okay, the common misconception about South Korea is that most people mistake their look for a Chinese. Okay, if you happen to meet a South Korean outside of South Korea, you might think that they are from China. Why? Because China is very popular among the Asian countries, or Japan also. So my girlfriend was in Ghana for a visit, and everybody thought she's Chinese. And it's so sickening. They don't like that. So the misconception out there that every Asian look is a Chinese should be broken. Then also, if you live right here in South Korea and you kind of think that every Korean is pali, it is also wrong. Not all of them are so fast like we have been made to believe or like we see it, okay? there are some Koreans who are like bit door and all that. So yeah,
What was that?
yeah, dull, like kind of slow in what they do. Yeah, very dullish. Yeah, so not all of them are fast or smart as they think. Yeah, there are a section of them who aren't. And then also, not every Korean you meet outside of South Korea should be taken as a Chinese person. No. Yeah. So that's the only two misconceptions so far. Yeah, about South Korea. People don't really focus on what Korea is made of, because a lot of times people want to visit Japan, China, but not everyone wants to come to South Korea. Well, I don't know about other countries, but where I'm from, like everybody looks at China and Japan, but then there's more stuff in South Korea. And South Korea is really developed, okay? You could compare Korea to the USA. And also, hey, I forgot to say this, there is good internet, okay? Wi-Fi is everywhere on the streets, in your home, in the cafes. And also the subway system, transportation is excellent. And then also Korean food is so good, because Koreans live very long. They have a very long lifespan and very healthy. You could meet a Korean old lady or old man, and if they tell you their age, you'll be really surprised. Like 80, 85, 90 years old man or woman, and they look so fit and strong, all because of what they eat, what they consume. So it's one of the good sides I forgot to project about this country. Okay, if you're a black person and you have South Korea in mind, all I would say is that try to go on YouTube, watch the Korean videos like about how to speak basic Korean language, learn, and then maybe after 3 or 6 months you learn a few words, and then you kind of like look around, especially if you're from a native English speaking country. You could be a teacher here, okay? Because there are lots of academies looking for English teachers, okay? So it's a good place to be as a teacher, and it's a good place to learn as a developing country. You should be a student here, learn about their development skills, and then you apply it to your country. Yeah. So these are the two good reasons that anybody who's interested in those things could come over for. For the perception, guys, I tell you, it would never go away and it would never cease. So just close your mind and open your heart. It would be pertaining for like the rest of the world, like till eternity, right? It would never go away. Forget about the perceptions. It would always be there. Just make sure you be the difference. Make sure that you project what isn't projected by them. Break the misconceptions. Be a good ambassador of the continent, of the black race, and then things will change, because it would never stop. The misconceptions would never cease. So just close your mind, open your heart, and come over and change it. The biggest risk I've taken so far in life is leaving my job as a public servant, because it has always been the dream of every native Ghanaian to work in the government sector with regular, consistent flow of income, well secured, and you have a good retirement package after all. So leaving it all behind, my family, and coming over to South Korea to school and to work permanently and to date a Korean, and you have your own woman back home who might want to even have you as a husband, but then here you are in a totally different environment trying to bond and make a new life. It's a bigger risk, but then it should be worth it, okay? Because we can all go the same way. It was a risk, but I took it, and I hope it pays off well. Actually, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, but then Instagram, the name is Zinleri, Zinleri. Yeah, Zinleri on Instagram, and Facebook, Richard Zinleri. Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to share your story or have us visit your region, send us a message on any of our social media platforms or via our website.
That's good.